Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can we start with the national anthem?
Our God, our Father, and our Maker. Father Jehovah, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for the life of all our directors. And whichever way we look at it today, it's only the Father Jehovah that deserves every praises. We thank you from the beginning when the founding father of this company chooses to set up this. And to the glory of God today, the vision and mission of this organization has been. Today again, we are celebrating 50 years. It is important for all of us to think and thank God all the same for those 50 years. Today, your shareholders are here today to celebrate and thank you and also smile to the bank for 25 kobo dividend, which dint of hard work, this good God has been able to eke out for us. Father, we beseech thee to grant more wisdom, strength to take this company to greater heights. Amen. As for all the shareholders today, we beseech you to grant us the necessary journey mercy back to our different destinations as we'll be smiling to the banks today. Amen. These and many other things we ask for our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.
Amen. Pastor Williams. Amen. Good morning, distinguished shareholders, my colleagues of directors, representatives of our regulators, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to welcome you all to the 50th annual general meeting of our company, Learn Africa PLC. Thank you. I want to thank our shareholders present and those virtual and those joining the meeting online. This meeting is being held in line with the provisions of the Business Facilitation Act 2022 on holding virtual meetings. The meeting is also being streamed live for our esteemed shareholders, regulators, and members of the public to observe the proceedings. I have been informed by the company secretaries that we have a quorum for this meeting in accordance with Article 46 of the company's Articles of Association, and hereby declare this meeting open. As usual, this meeting will be participatory. In order to save time, all the motions on the agenda will be moved by me or at my instance. I will invite seconders from the floor before the motion is put to the meeting and a vote taken. An opportunity will be given for questions on the financial statements, which I will lay before you in due course, and to which answers will be provided before we proceed to the next item. I would like to inform all members on the virtual platform that questions can be dropped in the chat box available on the Zoom platform for this meeting. For members physically present, may I request that those seconding motions or asking questions do so by speaking clearly into the microphone, which an official will pass to them. They should start their contribution to the proceeding by stating their names to enable the secretaries take proper notes. Finally, I would like to inform you that the register of directors, shareholdings, and attendance at these meetings will be available for inspection during the meeting in accordance with Section 308, subsection 8 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. Before we proceed with the issues of the day, I would like to introduce to you members of the board of directors of your company. The directors present are my humble self, Emeka Iwerebon. To my immediate right, Alhaji Hassan Bala, the managing director. Mr. Frederick Ijuri, non-executive director, will be joining us virtually. To my left is Mrs. Ebichi Akinsonya, the independent non-executive director. To her left is, and to my left also, is Hajia Binta Bakari, non-executive director. To my right is Mrs. Yetunde Aino, non-executive director. Mr. Aboije, I believe, will be joining us virtually, non-executive director. To my right is Mr. Agbola Ayedun, the publishing director. And to his right is Mrs. Cordelia Isioma Ojele, the finance director. Famous, who said that? Sitting to my ladies and gentlemen is Mr. Charles Anusio. Holders representatives on the Statutory Audit Committee are as follows: Superior Evangelist Anthony Omojola, chairman of the committee. Mrs. Mary Joke Shofolahon. Mr. David Olusegun Guntoye. Also present are Fatai Akonde, representing the auditors, PKF Professional Service External Auditors. And of course, Mr. Yaya Lawa, representing the registrars, First Registrars Investor Services Limited. Joining us virtually present is Ms. Brenda Duke, representing the Nigerian Exchange Limited. And then Mr. Abu Ibrahim and Ms. Jolomi Skin, representing the Securities and Exchange Commission. Thank you very much. I'll now call on the representative of the company secretaries to read the notice convening this meeting. The notice of the meeting is on page 4 to 6 of the annual report. Company secretary, please.
Good morning, everyone. Notice is hereby given that the 50th Annual General Meeting of Learn Africa PLC will be held virtually via Zoom teleconference on Tuesday, 26 September 2023 at 11 a.m. to transact the following business. Ordinary business, to receive the audited financial statement for the year ended 31st March 2023, together with the reports of the directors, auditors, and the statutory audit committee thereon. To declare a dividend for the financial year ended 31st March 2023, to re-elect directors retiring by rotation, to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of external auditors, to disclose the remuneration of the managers of the business, to elect members of the statutory audit committee. Special business, to approve the remuneration of directors for the year 2023-2024, dated this 18th day of August 2023 by order of the board.
Thank you, Company Secretary. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now report on the affairs of the company during the year under review. The chairman's statement appears on pages 9 to 11 of the 2023 annual report and accounts, which, with your permission, will be taken as read. Thank you very much. Thank you. Moving to the first item. The first item on the agenda is to receive the audited financial statements for the period ended 31st March 2023, together with the directors, auditors, and audit committee reports thereon. I now call on the representative of the auditors to present the auditor's report.
Chairman, members of the board of Learn Africa PLC, members of the statutory audit committee, distinguished shareholders, other protocol duly observed. We say good morning to you all. Good morning, sir. Mr. Chairman, may I crave your indulgence to read the abridged version of our report? Auditor's report. To the shareholder of Learn African PLC. Opinion. We have audited the company for Learn Africa PLC. Opinion. The company financial statement presents fairly in all material respects the financial position of the company as at 31 March 2023 and of its financial performances and its cash flow for the year then ended in accordance with the International Financial Reporting Standard, IFRS, and in manner required by the Company and Allied Matter Act 2020 is for opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with International Standard of Auditing, ISAS. Our responsibility under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibility for the company in accordance with the International Ethics Standard Board of Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, ISBA Code, together with the ethical requirements that are relevant to our audit of the financial statement in Nigeria, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibility in accordance with this requirement and the ISBA code. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide the basis for our opinion. Page 44. Report on other legal requirements. In accordance with the 5th schedule of the Company and Allied Matter Act 2020, we confirm that A, we have obtained all the information and explanations which to the best of our knowledge and belief were necessary for the purpose of our audit. 2, proper books of accounts have been kept by the company insofar as it appears from our examination of those books. And the third, the company's statement of financial position and statement of profit or loss are in agreement with the books of accounts, signed by Benson O. Adejanyo on behalf of PKL Professional Services, dated 22nd June 2023, presented to you by Akonde Fatai. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Fatai. I now call on the chairman of the Statutory Audit Committee, Superior Evangelist Anthony Omojola, to present the committee's report.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, other directors, the board of LEN Africa PLC, regulatory authorities here represented, distinguished shareholders, ladies and gentlemen. The audit committee report is on page 45 as I read. In accordance with the provision of section 404, subsection 7 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, we have examined the audited report for the year ended 31 March 2023. We have obtained all the information and explanations we required. In our opinion, the auditor's report is consistent with our review of the scope and planning of the audit. We confirm that the accounting and reporting policies of the company are in accordance with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. Having reviewed the auditor's findings and recommendations on management matters, we are satisfied with management responses thereon. We acknowledge the cooperation of the external auditors, Messrs. PKF, Professional Services, Chartered Accountants, management and staff of the company in performing our duties. This report was dated 26 June 2023, signed by me, Superior Senior Evangelist Dr. Anthony Omoni Omojola, as chairman of the audit committee. Other members of the committees, I'll call your name and please stand up for recognition. Mrs. Mary Joke Shufolahan. Mr. David Olusegun Oguntoye, Mrs. Egbishi Akinsanya, and Mr. Fred Ejewere, who is joining us online virtually. The representatives of the Secretary, DCSL Corporate Services Limited, acted as secretaries for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, I now lay before you the report and financial statement for the financial year ended 31st March 2023. And I will be pleased to answer any question relating thereto before we proceed to the next item of business. In doing so, it would be helpful if you could please refer to the page of the report and accounts to which your question or comments relates. Are there any questions? Yes, sir. Okay, I am going to start from the first row, starting from Mr. You've not raised your hand, so I'll start with him. I think it's still one.
Thank you, Chairman, the board, and my fellow shareholder here, regulatory authority, auditor, and the audit committee. Good morning. My name is Ibru De Moses, the current National Coordinator of Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria. And before I start, I will Sasoni Wosu, our emeritus, asked me also to bring his greetings. He's the chairman of one of the quoted company, and they're having their AGM today. That is why he's not here. Thank you. First, I want to really appreciate the company, the board, through the chairman, for celebrating 50 years. Today is a wonderful day, and I think somebody who have attained a golden age was supposed to be celebrating. I don't know whether it's not easy. When you look, men and women of honor that are here, of goodwill that are here, handling this business, you will know that this business is going to good places. But when I'm going to place on record, the year 2011 was a very unique year for some of us, where the two companies, UK company and a Longman, separated. The fear then was that, can we be able to run the business when the UK people have left? Sir, you have proven that, yes, Nigeria, Africa can do it. Please give them a round of applause. Don't rest on your hour. We must continue as people to build our institution so that wherever we are, wherever we go, they know that we can do it. We have a lot of companies that recently they are moving on. Oh, we are tired of this country, the business environment is hard, we are moving on. But yet, they have the privilege that, yes, let's separate, let's move on. And we have done it. So I'm very grateful for that. I just think I should acknowledge that. We are in a very unique sector of education. And there is no way a country can survive, develop, without the educational sector. I appreciate you that we can keep on, right from onset, delivering our products to various schools and institutions of the country. For doing that again, I want the shareholder to give them a round of applause again. Now, coming to the challenge of our economy, which is the cost of doing business. I can say every day, the papers that we use in printing goes up every day because of what? Dollars and all of that. Now the question is, sir, what is the effort of the industry working with the government to revive our paper milling industry so that we can be able to produce these things locally? Is there any effort in that way? Because it's very key. If you look at the industry, there is a lot of syndicates here that have taken over the importation and of papers in this country. And if care is not taken, the problem can rise. What are we doing as an institution, as in collaboration with the industry and government, to address that challenge? Another key issue is pirating. Just after promotion, just last month to this month, is a period of sales on papers, books, and all the stationaries when students are going for renewing, starting a new class. And one of the things we see commonly is papers are being faked, pirated all over the place. What are we doing to check the excesses of all these people who pirate? When you go to Idumota, you go to different places, you see that they will give pirated products. Oh, what are we doing in checking all of this so that we cannot this thing? Then again, when on this page, litigation. When you look at that page where there is litigation note, which note is that? That a situation where you employ professionals, and the professional will tell you, don't worry, the case is okay, we will win the case. You give them money, you go to court, and eventually the thing crystallized. What are the other ways that we are doing in order to what? To settle all these issues of litigation before now, instead of going and wasting money in the court of law. Because if you look at that thing have crystallized. Whether you say you are going to appeal, you are still paying the lawyers. And if you eventually go to Supreme Court and it crystallizes, that is real cost. So what are we doing in order to settle, if it's possible, to resolve our issues, our contracts, and all of that? When you sign them, you should have an alternate dispute resolution mechanism. Then, before I will go into, all right, I will leave the account. The account is okay, it's fine. All the indices are going up, and you are trying. As I said, you are men of good will. You should continue to do what is right so that our dividend will be increasing. And finally, what I want to talk about is this virtual and electronic meetings we are holding. Yes, business facilitation law have been signed into law. What I think this law has done is to give us another platform of holding meetings. Physical meetings is a platform. When you hold meeting physically, it's just a platform. And there are rights of the shareholder. Now, if you give it virtual meetings, it's another platform of holding meeting. But that platform, does it deprive the right of shareholders? It should not be done. It should not be so. All the virtual meetings we have seen this year, they are not meeting standard. They are not meeting standard. A situation where somebody, you create a Zoom link, you make the people who want, you select the people, and then when you select them, you make them panelists. Those are the special people, while the other group of shareholders are just all look at this and that. It's not right. That is discrimination. That's discrimination. And they said in the business facilitation law, electronic holding meaning electronically, using electronics in doing it. So in my house, for example, as you are holding this meeting, I should have my phone or computer to do it. I can vote, and I'll be voted for if I want to say anything. But do we do that? No, we don't do it. We are making mess of all of these things. If we go to court now, you will say, oh, the shareholders have started again. They have started again. No, sir. We should do things right. We should do things right. What we are doing today, the way the legal people are advising us, it's not right. It's not correct. Now, I want to find out, sir. In that the same business facilitation law and the guideline of CAC, they said, provided your MEMAT state it. What we have seen is that most companies just rush into the place without seeking shareholder mandate to amend the MEMAT. Are we saying that Learn Africa, in our MEMAT, there is a chance that we should hold our meeting electronically? Because rewrite procedure is for you to the first meeting is for you to seek shareholder mandate that we are doing this. Many companies have done it. That is the right process. So I'm going to want to hear that is we follow the law. Then, if we want to follow the law, which is okay, is a new innovation and all of that, please, let's make it in a situation where we follow the law, the rights of the shareholder is not is eliminated. It can be done. It's a new innovation. Everybody, that is where we are going. But this thing should be done the way it's supposed to be done, so that the minority shareholder or wherever they are they are not deprived. Thank you. God bless you. The name once again is Igburu de Moses.
Thank you, Mr. Moses. Thank you all very much. We do have, ladies and gentlemen, we do have time constraints, so we should please address questions, get to the point, so that everybody can have the opportunity to speak. Please, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, regulatory authorities here present, fellow distinguished shareholders. I want to say good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I want to start on the note of appreciation, and I will make due without mentioning the area that he has touched, so that we can move forward as you have rightly said. I want to place on record on appreciation to members of the board, the management, and the staff of this company for their tireless effort in providing what we are celebrating today, that is the dividend. But Chairman, we made, our earning per share was 56.
Sorry, your name, please.
My name is Eke Chibuzo Emmanuel, the General Secretary, Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria. Yes, Mr. Chairman, we made 56 kobo, and you are paying us 25 kobo. Remember, we are Oliver twins. We continue to ask for more. Yes, if you check page 1, 2, 3, Chairman, what I want to comment here is that it has been consistent. There has been consistent growth in your dividend payment. I want to say thank you, and I want to ask shareholders to appreciate the board. Can we appreciate them, please? Yes, in line with that, Mr. Chairman, on page 7, all financial highlights, all the items there shows the result of the effort of the board and management. So I want to say keep it up. Like my predecessor said, 50 years is something worth celebrating. If you go to page 22, Mr. Chairman, is the list of donations you made. But Mr. Chairman, there is need to extend it to the less privileged. You can pick a child, 2 or 3. It depends on how you design it. And you train that child. Instead of concentrating much in Lagos as the area of your donation, please extend it, and also extend it to the less privileged. I want to also thank you for the effort, page 32 to 34, share the board committees, meetings, and also even our shareholders representative. They are doing great, and also the board is doing great. And that is the result of what we are sharing today as a beautiful cake. However, Mr. Chairman, on page 49, I want to talk on inventory written off. Let us do all efforts. Let us increase our efforts so that we may not be losing money in that regard. We have 20.17 million there, Mr. Chairman. The management and board should look at it so that we'll be having, or we can have reduced or zero. I wouldn't want us to be writing off anything. Yes, Mr. Chairman, the cybercrime is the horrible thing that is happening now. I want to know, how often do we review our systems to avoid losses in that angle? You may say we are not financial institution, but we have something to do with money. So anything can happen there. Because the study have shown that connivance can also cause us to lose a lot of money through that way. So I want to encourage the board to look at that area also. On page 87, we paid money to Nigerian Stock Exchange. I said, for what? Are they charging us, or did we contravene anything? On page 35, Mr. Chairman, we want to appreciate you for nominating our own person, that is from the shareholder side, to be on the board of trustee. That in the person of Dr. Omojola. But Mr. Chairman, on the board, because the law permits us now to have representative of shareholders, and that's the retail shareholders on the board. I hope that will not stop the board considering that, so that you will not use him to replace what you're supposed to do regarding this side of the board. So on this note, Mr. Chairman, yes, I got the annual report here. I want to say thank you for the opportunity given to me. Thank you.
Pastor Williams, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, other directors. Good morning, esteemed shareholder. Mr. Chairman, today, as we are celebrating this 50 years anniversary, it is good that we also use it as an avenue to show succor and philanthropic attendance to other Nigerians. Mr. Chairman, today I want to thank you about last year, because last year at this AGM we mentioned it, and you promised that it is high time you look to supporting riverine areas who needed support, because their children there needed education. But whichever way we look at it, we have to thank you for this promise. Because recently you have gone to show succor there and give a hand of support to the riverine settlement, a poor settlement. But to the glory of God today, if you look at that page 22, which you have done very well too on donations, so all of us here, we should not forget to inform you that that donation, though is very, very good, but it doesn't show the northern states. Please, the last time we had AGM at in the north was in Abuja. We want this erudite board to consider the northern areas, because the government there are spending great deal of money to get their people educated. So the truth is, if our board too can give a hand of help to those states, I am referring to places like Jigawa, Zamfara. They will be happy if we use this 50 years anniversary to send a hand of support to them. Mr. Chairman, too, considering those riverine areas that you promised last year, which already you have commenced on, it is also important to note here today that the flood is everywhere, and also desert and oceanic encroachment. Look at in those states now, Mr. Chairman. Ocean encroachment has covered many places in Ondo State. But because our representative on the audit committee, Mr. Chairman, he will not want to mention it for the fear that he wouldn't want to show being selfish. Okitipupa is a riverine area. Okitipupa needs the support of this board. This man is from Okitipupa, but out of shyness, he will not want to mention it. There is ocean encroachment there. All their schools have been demolished. The schools have been wiped out. They need the support of this board. But out of shyness, he will not want to say it. But I am using this avenue as a minister of God. No, as a minister of God, because I travel a lot on evangelism. I know what is happening there. Even in Bayelsa, sir. That is the noble truth. Bayelsa, Okitipupa, Mende area, all of them need your support. Because if you look at what the flood is doing there now, and the rate where poor populace are suffering, honestly, we should use our 50 years anniversary to show a hand of help to those areas. Mr. Chairman, once again, I want to thank you for being a listening chairman. Because all the promises of last year, you fulfill them, but you can still do more. Because I have known you for so long. Even Sansoni also mentioned it, that he had the privilege of relating your father. And your father too, in his lifetime, was a very philanthropic person, which you have also taken the step further. May God in his infinite mercy continue to bless you. And before I drop this mic, I have chosen to follow your footsteps. Because when I look at shareholder holding, every year you have taken the pain to be buying this stock. Before you end up buying 99%, I believe that God in his infinite mercy will bless me too. I am now buying every year, and other shareholders too. I have been watching you, sir. You have been buying this stock, showing that there is green light at the end of the tunnel, and that the future of this company is very bright. May God continue to bless me to buy more too, sir. Thank you for the opportunity given.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you too. Mr. Nona. Can someone hand the mic over to him, please?
Thank you. The chairman, other directors, very distinguished fellow shareholders. My name's Nona Ao. When you are called to speak after a traveling pastor has spoken, then you are likely to be in trouble. I think we will not be correct to say this company is 50 years old. The company is 62 years old, and it's now been listed for 27 years. Fortunately for some of us, I was on the trading floor when they brought you to come and get listed, so I know what I'm talking about. What they have here is that this, in their 62 years, this is the 50th time they are holding a meeting. I want to ask you to correct. Interestingly, when they were listing the company, you had jackpot then, chairman. You had jackpot then. But before I go to the account, I will want to make an appeal. Don't let us be stereotyped as to how we arrange our table. If a director is not going to be around, don't keep space. Because if you get the picture of this on any newspaper, even from the picture of the video, you are going to find that there's something that we are not expressing rightly. If directors come late, put them on the flank. Don't create space that if he comes, otherwise we'll be doing Niger Republic. Let's, please. Because when you mentioned that the two directors, one of them you are certain will not come, the other one you are not certain. I thought the men folk, non-executive, we are on strike, men on strike. And I think we can get an author to write us a book on that. I'm sure ladies will buy. Men on strike. MD, commission somebody, men on strike. And they use Len Africa as case study. I'm sure people will buy. But what I think is much more important with the account is the information that some of us got. Because I remember that year before, one of the things that the chairman tried to talk about is that I confronted you that you promised you were going to pay 25 kobo. So when they told him this year that 25 kobo was possible, the man started by dancing, then the pose, then go dengue. When he then realized that he was going to be charged for copyright, he now moved to Buga. He started boogering in his parlor until somebody asked him, what's happening? He said, we are going to pay 25 kobo. Mr. Wu will not ask me, we didn't pay 25 kobo. But let me tell you that the 25 kobo you are paying, given time value for money and inflation, is substandard. Is substandard. So I want you to know that. So that when you want to begin to reply, don't booger at all. Just be humble. Be very humble. But I think it's also important that we mention, yes, you didn't go back to 2015 and 2018, those 2 years that you couldn't pay dividends. I appreciate that, but like I said, be very humble. But I think the information that we have also provided is inadequate. I deliberately mentioned that you've been listed for 27 years. And for you to go through an annual account, even in financial summary, you didn't remember what your share price is. It's a challenge, which means you are not communicating well. And if you're a publishing house, poor communication shouldn't be part of your skill set. So going forward, I hope that will be addressed. But talking to the business proper, we have had more than how many years that we brought the only independent directors? For how long? Because the person that you brought thereafter cannot be considered to be independent. So you cannot even classify him as independent. Okay? So I think it's something that you need to work on, and work on very quickly. Looking at page 22, I find the issue of donation. But looking at that donation is a donut donation. You know there are two types of donation. A donation that has heart and a donation that has no heart. And donut does not have a heart. Because at the center you can see it's big hole. So what we have done is donut donation. Even this one, you didn't have sugar added to it. So it's bare donation, not just... And the reason I say this, again with due respect, is that our donation, the way it's presented, is being much more of a push donation rather than a pull donation. We can use our donation to drive our top line much more than we are doing, with due respect. Unfortunately, Pastor talked about traveling, and he talked about we giving Ondo. And I'm imagining when next Pastor goes to those locations, he should ask those state governments, how much have they given us, or how much money have they sent to us in buying books? Because it's good to give money, with due respect. But that's basically what I'm going to. We should use our as much more of a pool donation. And that way we'll give it a heart, and then we'll also help it to drive our business. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I can spend the whole day talking to you after this meeting. But we have to have a change. We don't say, by the way, you are the chairman. And I also noticed that you've been buying more shares. Next time you give anybody 20,000 naira, that money will be paid from your pocket. Because it's insulting. Why are you giving, even the transport fare to go and deliver the check is more than 20,000 naira. It's not the number that is also important, it's the quality of donation that we give. So you begin to understand why the pool donation makes a lot of sense for the industry we are in, as against giving people 20,000 naira. Anyway, I'll leave that for you to look at. Why is the pool donation also important for me? If you look at page 35, what you're going to find is literally all the region other than the West. And yet it's the West that got the biggest donation in the year under review. Can you begin to see the contrast? They are getting more money from us in terms of donation, but we're doing less business with them in terms of revenue. So it will be possible that we also find out what is the challenge in the West. Because whether we want it or not, the West educationally is not backward. Okay? And so we must find what is the problem and try to see how we address them. We should have even a target as to how we'll grow our business in the Western region. Not when you come this year, you give 700 naira. The following year, you do 500. This board has to look at our sales strategy, our marketing strategy, in conjunction with our donation. So how do we push this business? If you've not had the opportunity of doing it, it's something that we need to look at. And it's in that line that I will be hoping that we'll find time to specially relate with Borno State government. You talked about the northern states are back, and what they are buying is photocopied textbook. Then that state does not understand the essence of education. Huh? So that's one major, because we are all apostles in this business. The only difference is that you carry your non-executive on your board. Receivables shouldn't be an issue that we should be talking around. So it's also important that we look at receivables and begin to design. Yes, I know that the industry we are in is not in the banking, it's not in banking, but there are quite a number of things we can do around receivables in terms of policy. Because when we have a policy and we are constantly tweeting and retweeting that policy, the chances are high that our position will be better. Because if you look at 108 million provision for receivables, if a quarter of that we are to be in the bottom line, you will not be talking about 25 kobo. And I know that that's probably why we are buying the facts into the main, and then we have more money to share. So receivable is an item that this board must find a way to address. By the way, you don't even have just 2 accountants. I said 2 of them are non-executive. So technically you have 3 accountants. And you can't have 3 accountants in this size of board, and we are talking about receivables. And it's auditors who will now be pointing us to it. I don't think it is fair on those professionals. So this board needs to do something around it. And if his chairman is guy him, if he's the problem. But I'm not sure he wants to be the problem, because if he wanted to be, he will not be buying more shares. But I hope you don't buy to the point that float also becomes a challenge for the company. Okay, I hope so. Having said all of that, on donation, I also want the auditors to help us in future. If you look at page 87, what we have in the list that relates to donation is 8.27 million. That is our donation. If you come to page 22, what you have there is 3.8 million. I'm not an accountant, but my accountant will say it's material. That is almost one, how do I put it? 1 million difference. That is material to 2.7. Okay? So there's something certainly that is wrong in what the arithmetic that has happened. But let me close the basis of, let me close the basis of what we have done in the year. I don't know how it came about, but if you look at page 86 and page 47, you begin to understand why we are even able to pay the 25 kobo in question. Cost of sales went down by 400 million plus in the year under review. Cost of sales alone. Meanwhile, profit after tax managed to go up by only 28 million. So if we didn't have that good management in cost of sale, if you remove 400 million from 28 million, what you'll have posted this year will have been a loss. I will repeat. Cost of sale went down by 400 million, okay, which is surplus. Profit after tax managed to go up by only 28 million. So if we didn't have that improvement in cost of sale, what we'll have had in the year under review will have been 327 372 million loss. What am I pointing to? Every cost item is important, and we need to, given where we are now, we need to begin to look at what we can do better for every cost item, including our finance cost that is beginning to raise its head. Yeah, you may think that it's a small boy now, but if you don't handle small boy well, when he becomes a big man with area boy mentality, and which is what finance cost usually is, it becomes difficult for you to manage. And it's in that line that I'll be hoping that one major area that we'll also do is how to manage our unclaimed dividend. Yes, it dropped marginally, but I'm not sure that one of the years will not have in status bar. Because if you look at what is on page 101, 102, 103, and 109, is that no year is stated in the unclaimed dividend. So if you put the year, it will have been easier to say, sorry, but let our company secretary, I like your size, because anybody who ignores your size will be doing it at his own peril. But you need to, I've seen the people who came from registrar, they are small size bodies. If you decide to hit them that this unclaimed must go down, I'm sure they're likely to shake. Even the guy is not as big as you. So it's something that we must work with the registrar to make sure that it does go down. And it's also in that line, with due respect, that come 2024, this board must not give us a top line of less than 4 billion. 4 billion. So I want you to come back next year and booger that you have done 4 billion. That one will bring Sonia Ade to come and play for you on your AGM. But you must do more than 4 billion, because this crawling 4.5, 4.35, as if you're in the Ministry of Human Affairs, where when they promote people, they add 50 naira, and then they say they have added step 1. They add another 40 naira, they say they have gone to step 2. This business has to take a different shape for all of us to be together. I also think that I will not be fair if I don't close this short contribution on the note of our foundation. You probably didn't get the impulse of what I mentioned 2 years back. You can't be the chairman of the board and be a member of the foundation. You cannot be. You cannot be. It's an abuse of process. It's an abuse of structure. And you know why? The company gives money to the foundation. The foundation then reports the money that is spent to the board, and then you sit on both sides. It doesn't work. If you have read the Corporate Governance Act, that's why they said you cannot be an executive chairman. And you can also not be the chairman of a board, group board, and be chairman of a company in the subsidiary. By the way, what are you afraid of? How much money are we giving? Because it's a major area of concern. It may look small, but small things are the ones that create bigger problem for even big organizations. Please, this is the last time that you sit on the foundation. This is the last time. No, it's there. It's stated there that it's a member. Hello. You can raise whatever. Some of us don't come. You know me. I don't come to meetings to come and raise because I want to talk. The reason that some of us have come and I will continue to go to meetings is because we want the companies to be better. And when the company is better and they do better, the international community is going to respect us. Not the one that we go to India, we say we have removed withholding tax. Meanwhile, they check on our website, the withholding tax is there. We have improved the ease of doing business. Petroleum tanker, you are putting petrol in your compound, you are taxed. If you had light, for instance, will anybody come and ask you to put, what's it called, diesel in a tank? You won't. But the man is not efficient in his use of resources, and the people who try to make up for his inefficiency are also punished. Okay? Somebody will wake up one day and find that you haven't done something right, and they will slam with us with fines, and then you begin to run helter-skelter. Please don't stay on the foundation anymore, including himself who is speaking. Because when the result is done, as the chairman of the audit committee, he is going to ask questions around it. Do you ask questions about the food that you have eaten when people are saying, where is the food? So please, they may look small, but let's be conscious of small things because they can do big damages to what we are doing. Please. And it's also on that note that even when we write the foundation, if we have given 2 naira, 2 naira went to donation, went to foundation. And where possible, if we made expenses, also said 2 naira was spent. Because it's all our monies. It's not just a few persons' money, all of us, including the man who have 1 unit of shares. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you. At this point, we would like to address some of the questions, respond. There are particular questions that I want us to respond to. Let me just name them. One is the paper issue, revival of paper mills. 2 is the piracy issue. And then probably 3, the turnover, attaining the 4 billion turnover. Well, let's start with those in that order, starting with the MD to please address the paper issue and the piracy issue, 2023.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, our esteemed shareholders, the regulatory bodies, and my colleagues. Mr. Moses raised a question on the paper, the efforts we are making in the publishing industry in the area of resuscitation of the paper mills, which have gone moribund. And it has now clearly shown that paper has constituted a big clog in the wheel of the progress of the publishing industry. The publishing companies under the aegis of the NPA, which is the Nigeria Publishers Association, have engaged, and we are continuing to engage the government on the possibilities of resuscitating these paper mills, even though some of them have been privatized and still not functional. So we are looking at the various approaches to this. And one other thing we've seen is that we are also seeing foreign players coming in to establish paper mills, because there's one that we've heard of. A Chinese firm is in the process of setting up a paper mill around Ogun State, and one in Edo, even, that we've just learned. But so far, that is what is happening, but we are continuing in our efforts through the NPA to see what the government can do. Well, the previous government has come and gone. We hope that this government will certainly do something about it, looking at the policy thrust of the government, especially in the area of education and science and technology. In the area of piracy, the NCC, which is the Copyright Commission, in conjunction with the NPA also, is looking at new ways, different ways of tackling this menace. About 3 weeks ago, we've done some enforcements. A raid was carried out in a location here in Lagos. In fact, the magnitude of stock, pirated stock we saw, in fact, we were asked to come with over 20, 30 trucks. And what we saw was even more than that. But we could barely manage to evacuate just a truck with 30 armed mobile policemen that was given to us by the AIG in charge of Zone 2. Well, that is one approach, and that has really paid off because it has instilled fear in the minds of these pirates, because we are now seeing more and more booksellers coming in to buy books through our reps, and some of them coming in themselves. That is one approach. The second approach is one that I will not mention, which is really attacking the source. The NPA has started working on that, and we've seen some dividends even. We've noticed, and it has been discovered, that on a port is the entry point that they are now using, and some containers, with the support of the customs, have just been discovered and intercepted. So the investigation is ongoing. So we are giving the Copyright Commission all the support that they require, and we are sure that the way this is going, because the pirates are also being hit by the fluctuation of the dollar, they are also, right now as we speak, we are told that there are a lot of containers littered in the ports, but they are afraid of bringing them forward for clearing because of the actions that have just taken place. So we'll continue in that, and we believe that there will certainly be a drop in the effect of piracy on our sales. Thank you.
So which means you have 5 billion. 4 billion is more.
Inshallah.
Thank you. Thank you, the MD. Right now, I'd like to invite Ms. Fred Ejiwere to come to the high table. He just walked in. Come on. There are a number of other issues that I would like us to address. Fred, come. Can they get him a chair, please? Thank you. I think when he's settled down, he will probably address the Ms. Awo. When he's settled down, he'll probably address the receivable issue. He's one of the accountants that's a non-executive. But before then, I'd like him to settle down first. But before then, I would like the MD again to address this issue that you brought up, this Core North and then North Central, so that you have an understanding of how we operate in that region. So MD, could you please explain that to them? Then after that, I'd like to just touch on that 4 billion issue, although he has now raised the bar to 5 billion. And then again, touch very briefly on this foundation issue he keeps talking about. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Well, the issue of the Core North and North Central came up when we had a vacuum at the position of the head of sales, and we felt the market was so vast and we needed to decentralize. And we had 4 key persons that were up for that position, and each and every one of them was manning a very important center in the various regions. So North Central covers the FCT, Niger, Benue, and Taraba states, even though Taraba is in the northeast, but for proximity's sake, because from Benue State it was easier to get into Taraba, that's why we annexed it to. And then Kogi. So then for the Core North, the Core North consists of the Northwest and the Northeast. That's why instead of saying Northwest, Northeast, we now called it the Core North. So it's just a matter of convenience, really. We just did, that's how we did it. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ejiwere, the issue of receivables came up, and they are wondering why we've not been able to get a hold of our receivables when we have 2 non-executive directors who happen to be accountants. Can I hand over the CFO? Okay. So take this one.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies for my late entrance. I had to honor the Archbishop of Lagos' invitation to an event at 10 o'clock, and so I'm coming late for this. However, I made sure I was in touch with this event. And when Nona came up and said we should make 4 billion, I said, yes, we will, and we will get there. Yeah. 5. I don't see any reason why we cannot do 5. MD, we will do 5. We will do 5. Just that you're asking for 40 kobo rather than the 25. Yeah, we'll see. Now, the receivables has been a recurrent issue of our organizations. And I'll be quite frank with you as members, as shareholders. We do have this problem with which our sales representatives, you give them books in their hands, and unfortunately, they are converting these books. And then they will still state that the schools are owing. By the time we do investigations, we find situations. So we have quite a number of court cases. One case we've actually won and got one of these sales reps locked up. So that's a major problem. However, these are challenges. We don't want to call them problems, and we are facing them squarely. We are also applying technology and better business processes. For instance, we are deploying software such that the schools can communicate with us directly and make payments to us directly. We are also deploying POSs aggressively. We tried to deploy these POSs a couple of years back. There was a lot of resistance, but this time we're enforcing it and making sure it's implemented. Our credit policy, which states quite some limitations and controls, we're going to make sure we enforce it to the letter. It is just that in Nigeria today, some of these sales reps are brazen enough. They'll take the chance, and before you know it, we are calling them in Australia or in Canada. They've gone. So these are the challenges we have, but to rest assured, we are not resting on our oars. We are certainly attacking all of these. So that's what I'll tell you in a brief, but we'll double our effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ajiwere. I think Mr. Ajiwere has addressed the 4 billion to 5 billion issue. So I think that is sorted out. Now on the issue of the foundation. I said he has addressed the issue. Noted. On the issue of the foundation that Mr. Awu has touched on, it should be clear that the issue really is the propriety of non-executive directors on a board being also trustees in a foundation of that company. There are about 3 of us who are non-executives and an executive who are on the foundation. Myself, I know. The MD is an executive. Mr. Dr. Omojola is there. So I think this is beyond just picking on the chairman being there. I think we will look at this holistically and with best practices find an answer to that. So on that, and in view of time constraints, we will not be able to take any further questions. I would like to move on. If there are any questions, we can always answer them at the end of the meeting. So I want to thank you all very much. At this point, I would like to hereby move that the audited financial statements for the period ended 31st March 2023, together with the directors, auditors, and statutory audit committee reports thereon, be received. Will someone please rise and second the motion? Sir, at the second row, can you please state your name, please, sir?
Thank you, sir, Mr. Chairman. My name is Akiode Olatunji. I second the motion.
Thank you. Can we put this to a vote? By show of hands? Okay. I thought we were going back to, okay. Will all those, we'll do the voting by show of hands. Will all those in favor of this motion signify by, with a show of hands or by raising their admission cards? May I also request that I hereby declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. Item number 2. The board is pleased to recommend to the shareholders a final dividend of 25 kobo per ordinary share of 50 kobo each, which will be subject to the deductions of appropriate withholding tax at the time of payment and is hereby payable to the members. Any objections? All those objecting, please raise your hands. I declare that the motion has been carried unanimously. Moving to item number 3. That is the re-election of directors who are presented for re-election are Millie Ojili. I hereby move that Mrs. Akinsoya, Ms. Akinsoya be and is hereby re-elected as a director. Will someone please second that motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Finally, hereby move that Mrs. Cordelia Ojili is hereby re-elected as a director. Will someone second that motion? I think the lady on the third row, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I'll second the motion. Mrs. Igbasomi Bukola.
Thank you, Mrs. Igbasomi Bukola. Those in favor should please raise their hands. To object should please raise their hands. The disclosure of the remuneration of the managers of a business. Section 257 of CAMA specifically provides that the compensation for the managers of a business must be disclosed to members at the general meeting. The remuneration of managers of a company is disclosed in note 29 at page 106 of the 2023 annual report. This is a disclosure requirement, and no resolution is required to be taken on this item. Item number 6. The next item is on the election of members of a statutory audit committee. Section 404, subsection 3 of the Companies and Analyzed Matters Act 2020 provides that a public company shall appoint an audit committee comprising of 3 members, representatives of the shareholders, and 2 non-executive directors. Ladies and gentlemen, only 3 valid nominations were received within the statutory time limit. There being no other valid nominations received, the following shareholders who are members of a statutory audit committee are returned unopposed. Superior Evangelist Dr. Anthony Omojola, Chairman of the committee. Mrs. Mary Joke Shofolahon. And last but not the least, Mr. Olusegun David Oguntoye. Also, the following directors have been appointed to represent the board on the audit committee. Mrs. Ebichi Akinsoya. And Mr. Frederick Ijiwere. Since the 3 representatives of the shareholders have been returned unopposed and the board has nominated 2 directors, I now move that Superior Evangelist Dr. Anthony Omojola, Mrs. Mary Joke Shofolahon, Mr. Olusegun David Oguntoye, Mrs. Ebechi Akinsoya, and Mr. Frederick Ijiwere be and are hereby elected members of a statutory audit committee pursuant to section 404 subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act to serve on the audit committee until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. Will someone please rise to second the motion?
Thank you, Chairman, for giving me the privilege. My name is Adeleke Olademeji. I so second.
Thank you. Will all those in favor of this motion signify by raising the admission cards? Are there any objections? No objection. The motion is carried unanimously. Special business. Item number 7, remuneration of directors. No increase is being proposed to the enumeration of directors for the next financial year. I therefore invite a member to propose the motion. A member to propose a motion that the remuneration of directors of the company for the year ending 31st March 2023 as stated in the accounts be and are hereby approved as directors' remuneration for the 2023-2024 financial year. Can someone please propose the motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I propose Banji Olubosun.
Thank you. Will someone please rise and second that same motion? Sir.
My name is Mr. Akiode Olatunji. I second the motion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Olatunji. All those in favor, please raise your hands. And all those that object, please raise their hands. The motion is hereby carried unanimously. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished fellow shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, having dealt with all the matters on the agenda for which proper notice was given, we have come to the end of this general meeting. On behalf of the Board of Directors, I would like to thank you very much for your time and contributions. I wish you all God's blessings and safe journey to your final destinations. Can the MD provide us with the closing prayer, please?
صلوا على النبي الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل محمد وسلم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. We thank you, Allah, for granting us the grace to hold this AGM successfully. We pray that you continue to see us through. We pray that you take everybody back to their destination safely. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amen.
Thank you. Can we have a national anthem before we leave, please? Nice and thank you all very much. Thank you.